right, welcome everybody. It is Seth Talk Sunday again. Seth Talk live on Facebook. Welcome everybody. We are live on Facebook. We are recording this. It will be posted on YouTube when we're finished, probably later today, maybe tomorrow, as soon as I can get it ready. And we're waiting for a few people to still join us. I heard from Audrey. They had a snowstorm where she lives. We just missed it. It went east of us, but she's in the thick of it, so that she had a niece that she is driving home. So we wish them safety on their travels in this snowy time. But she won't be able to join us. She said if she can, she will try to listen in on Facebook. So if you're listening, Audrey, hi, and we miss you very much.
Hi, Audrey.
I want to find this on my phone on Facebook. Hopefully, last week I had trouble finding it. I think it's like refresh the phone. Oh my God, there's a lot of Ron stuff on here. Tons of Ron stuff. He has the best quotes on our site. All right, I will find it in a minute. Let's see, what else would I like to say? Well, I got a lot of the thank yous out from the Facebook fundraiser. Everybody has been so generous with their donations. We are so grateful that we can keep this going and this dream alive for all of us. And I just can't wait for the time when we can all join together, in the place that this happened, where we're trying to preserve it as much as we can. So as a tenant, there's only so much we can do to preserve it. So we've made the inside nice and pretty and painted and da-da-da-da-da. But we would so like to do we're told that there are windows remade that look like the old windows. So we've got one wall of old original windows in Rob's art studio. But the other two walls, they just boarded up, and they have one little cheap window in the back. So, I mean, we would like to do work like that, but of course we can't do that until we own the building. And we can't own the building till we raise the money. So in the time being, we are paying rent and doing what we can.
Have you looked at those windows that have been boarded over? I mean, is it a simple thing of just replacing a pane of glass?
No, they took them out. We did have a contractor pull off some of the boards to see, and we thought, because that's actually what landlords have done in the building. They have just covered over everything. But no, they took those windows out. They're gone. Mm-hmm. Yeah, unfortunately, because they're all repairable. Just like the bay windows, that center big bay window had a huge crack in it, which is still there, but we fixed it. And then it was the sashes, I don't know if they're the sashes, but anyway, the wood around everything was deteriorating so badly that there was big gaps. And the boys that lived there before we got the apartment had their socks stuffed in the windows to keep the cold air from coming in, or the hot air, I guess, depending on how you look at it. And we have pictures on the website of the socks in there. And then after they moved out, the landlord wanted to, just put in vinyl windows, and they would have been much smaller, and he would have, and Oshara would not hear of it. She pretty much threw her body in front of the windows and said, "No, Jane and Seth looked out these windows." And so he spent a whole day, at least most of the afternoon, and he took those windows apart piece by piece and rebuilt them with the same wood, same glass. And you'll see in the pictures, there's like a wire, and it's actually airplane wire. And it is holding the wood together so that the glass can't fall. So we can't open that window anymore because he's got the top one hooked to the bottom one. But it's the window. There is always a way to preserve what's there. I know that. It took him a lot more time, but it was a lot cheaper than putting in vinyl windows. So he was happy about that.
Maybe we could do a once-a-year pilgrimage to the Seth House, like they do in Israel. Or is that where I'm thinking of?
That's creepy. That's creepy.
We'll have everybody in the country go into the Seth House on a certain day to pay homage. They have tents outside and food and festivals and stuff.
I love the idea of having, okay, I just found it on my phone. I love the idea of having people come in. And that is one of the reasons, you know, why we did Jane's birthday and Rob's birthday. And then we also did it during the Christmas season. And we had just open houses. Actually, every Wednesday night, God, I think it was Wednesday nights, we used to have open house where anybody could just come in, visit, talk Seth, read books. We'd take them upstairs, tour them, whatever they wanted. And we also did it on Sundays before we did the in-person Seth Talk. And COVID hit and we had to stop doing everything.
We're on a major lockdown here too, which I
You
don't
are.
understand. I don't understand how the virus can differentiate between Walmart and my local store. It's one smart virus.
Wait a minute. Tell me this again. So your stores are closed?
A lot of them, yeah.
Oh.
The outdoor dining is closed again, you know, but you can go to Walmart and get your food where there's thousands and thousands of people. Yet your corner market on the corner, which might be 2 people, you can't go into.
So
I don't understand. It's a really smart virus. It's like, how does it stops when you go into it only appears when you go into a building, but when you're sitting outside, it's not there. I don't understand. But you know what? This third density stuff is really getting to me.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't understand most of this stuff anymore.
And I think each state is working at it differently. And I thought New York was like the strictest of the strict. So and we're not on lockdown right now. We're close in this area. We're in like what he calls an orange area. Red area, everything shuts down. And we're headed that way because our numbers are just rising and rising. But it apparently, if you sell food or medical supplies, you're considered essential. So even if you sell a cookie, you can stay open. Now there's rules as to how many people can be in the building and blah, 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 all that stuff. I know like our Walmart had a little counter and he was like 1, 2, 3. And then there was a counter going out as well. But right now, everything except, so we don't, I mean, obviously it's cold here, so we don't have outdoor dining. We don't have that even possibility. So we pretty much we have takeout. That's about it. So the restaurants are still doing takeout, but there is no in-house dining where we are. But if you go 15 minutes down the road, there is. So there's a cutoff as to who's in yellow. Yellows can be open, orange can't be. Reds are shut down altogether. But you know, there's always a line where that stops. And wherever that, if you're close to that line, which we happen to be, like if we have, I'm trying to think, there's a gym here and they have one in Corning as well. Well, you can drive 15 minutes to Corning and go to the gym, but you can't go to the one here. So
like here, you can go to the next county over and get your nails done.
Exactly.
So it's amazing how smart this virus is.
Well, or the politicians that are making the rules.
I've decided I'm not participating. I'm a Sethie. I can do that.
And you know, we're not super participating either. We're kind of just staying quiet, keeping to ourselves, and that's fine with us. You know, we mostly, you know, have our stuff delivered if we want. You know, I am going out still because of the physical therapy. So I actually have to go into a hospital where, you know, like, can you think of a worse place to go during a, you know, sickness time? But I'm doing fine. Yeah. And my leg's getting stronger every day.
Yay.
It is. It's good. Yeah.
Where is everybody? It's just you and me today?
Well, I
not that there's anything wrong with that.
Well, no, it's fine. And I sent out, I counted today. I sent invitations to 27 people. And 2 of those 27 are here, you and I. So I include me in that. So I did hear from Audrey, and she is taking a niece home. They had a big snow there. So Audrey will not be joining us, but I haven't heard from anybody else. So I think it might just be you and me. I'm glad you're here, or it would be a very long 2 hours.
Is there anybody on Facebook watching us?
Actually, there are some people watching, but the only name I have is Anna Nishu.
Do they have
Hi,
any questions? Anything they want to say?
I haven't seen anything yet. Let me welcome everybody and type. Just comment here. All right. All right. So I told them to comment there, and there we are. Did you look over the exercises?
No, but I have been busy doing research on tissue capsules.
Okay, let's talk about that. What did you find out?
Let's talk about tissue capsules for a minute.
Yeah.
I actually asked Tom, because we had a channeling session with Thomas on Wednesday.
Oh, good. I told him you were going to ask.
I told him I contacted him before and said, I don't know how this works, but I'm going to put the thought in your brain that I've been want to hear more about it. And it came through the channel. And he talked about it a little bit too.
Oh, good.
But the channeling session was for me. I don't know whether I've got this connection with this higher, I don't know what it is, but every time he channels, it's like it's directed, I get benefit from it. It's like it's being channeled for me.
Beautiful.
He did this exercise, and what did he call it? He called it the cubicle farm. And that's where you're in a cubicle, but you can also rise up and look over the top, and all the other cubicles are versions of you and all the things you've done in your life, and you can kind of go up and look down and go into each one. It was really nice. I really liked it. Now, tissue capsules. A tissue capsule is a boundary where your energy ends and all the other energies begin. Some people refer to it as the oral body, the astral body, and it will expand and contract. If you want it to, you can do whatever you want it to. It can expand. What did Tom say? You can expand out through the whole distance of the universe, or you can shrink it up and go into little spaces. I found a quote. It's talked about. I think the reason why we haven't heard more about it is because it's in the early sessions in Volume 1, Chapter 40. Can I just read two sentences? Because I thought it was really from Finding Seth about the tissue capsule. This is in the early sessions, chapter 40.
Okay, just one minute. I want to welcome Mickey. Hi, Mickey, and hi.
Hello.
We are rediscussing tissue capsules.
Capsules.
And
I gathered that. Yeah.
Yeah. And Audrey is trying to join right now, and I didn't expect her. So let's let her get in, and then we can. Oh, and Martin is trying to get into. Must be people are just a little late today. So there's Audrey, and there's Martin.
Mickey, Martin, Audrey, hi.
Hi.
Just want to recap a little bit. Jeff did some research on tissue capsule from last week. So he's now going to be reading some Seth excerpts and talking about what he found out. So it's all you, Jeff.
Hey, thanks. Like I was saying earlier, tissue capsules, I think the reason why we haven't heard more about it is because it's actually shows up mostly in the early sessions, book 1, session 40 or chapter 40. And I don't think the early sessions are widely read yet. And it is the boundary of where your energy stops and the other begins. It kind of keeps your energy you. It's how you know you is you. And it can expand and contract. And a lot of people would call it the astral body.
Do you think it could blend with other people's?
I'm going to ask the next time, because that was a question. If you blend with other people's, you will always know you as you. I don't see how you could totally blend without, I don't know.
Because when you get in places with some people, you can definitely feel a kinship, or you can feel a resistance or a repulsion, so it's like you can feel their energy, but is it emerging, or is it just you can feel a difference?
I'm still
Honey,
chewing on this, just not as much.
push that can to me.
So I found one couple sentences here
Thank you. Thank you.
that I thought were really interesting. And this is from the early sessions, book 1, session 40. It says, the capsule, of course, is not solid on any plane. Here's what I find interesting. To some inhabitants of other planes that have access to your plane, all that can be seen of you is this tissue capsule. Such inhabitants have had no experience in your particular type of camouflage construction. Therefore, your camouflage patterns are invisible to them, but the tissue capsules are not. I think that just our camouflage patterns are invisible. They're only visible to us and not to other. I just thought the whole thing was interesting.
Well, it makes sense that we've created these camouflage, so it makes sense that other people can't see them. But for whatever reason, in making this camouflage, we have made our tissue capsule invisible to ourselves. Why did we do these things?
Very strange.
Any thoughts?
Well,
I love it.
Are we just energy and seen as that, or not seen? I guess I don't know. I have to think about it.
I think that's what I believe. I believe that we are all energy, which would be energy units of consciousness. So we are pure consciousness, but we have manifested this camouflage reality to feel and see and touch and smell things. Which
So Earth is Halloween.
Earth is Halloween. There you go. And it's turned off those other senses until we learn how to, and maybe that's what we were sent here to build up this whole menagerie. And then our whole existence is to figure out how to bring back the actual reality.
But I'm thinking that's why they don't see us as we create ourselves or our look, because
we're an illusion.
Yeah.
Yes. You know, when I speak with my guide, and I call her Iris, that's how she told me her name was. And I used to see her as a woman, redheaded, green eyes, looked very kind of Irish, Scottish type person. And lately, she has been coming to me as a cloud, a cloud with like lightning in it, like energy lightning. So as she speaks, I'm hearing stuff, but there's flashes going on of, what to me almost seems like when they do the EEG of the brains, right? You can see those firing when different thoughts are happening. It's almost like that, and not only that, it's a red cloud. Like she's a red cloud with lightning in it. She's awesome. She's awesome. And I was told you should try to paint her. I'm like, oh, well, that's a different thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Audrey, I think you're exactly right. That is how she is allowing me, I believe, to now see her or I don't want to say it, that sounds so yucky, but see her in her natural form, which is pure energy, as opposed to when I was just beginning, she was allowing me to see her in a form that was comfortable for me.
And familiar, yeah.
So it feels like I'm getting in a better place where I can understand something beyond this camouflage that we experience every day, and it doesn't scare me away running.
I love it.
Well, 10 years ago, I would have been scared. Today,
Mm.
whole different story. Yeah, I do. I love it too.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Gee.
Yeah. So I guess if I want to take what I see as Iris, it is a cloud. It's usually there's a dark background and then there is an edge to her. And then the firing is happening at different places inside.
So you would think that's her tissue capsule?
Maybe, yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
And something else is she told me, God, she was really chatty the other day. And usually I have to ask questions. She answers questions. She does not usually talk just everything she wants to say. She told me that I can't see her. She's always with me. I can't see her because she's so big and I'm so close to her that I'm kind of looking through a small little part. And I remember Seth talking about what a leaf looks like to us on a tree and the different perspective an ant would have that was on that tree looking at that leaf. And I think that this is the same thing. I am seeing through Iris. It's such a close, I'm so tiny compared to her expansive self that I can't see that, but I'm seeing through it.
Like standing on the pavement in New York, looking up at a 200-story building, as opposed to being in a plane looking down on this small square.
Absolutely. Yeah. So again, it's all perspective and how we're going to look at things, and how we perceive what we're seeing, right?
That is so amazing. It's a lot to take in. I love it.
It is.
There's been a lot of things like that to take in lately.
Yes, we are growing so fast. And as I'm doing these exercises, wait till you guys get the one from today. When we're doing these exercises, it's like I feel like one is just building on the next, and it's just getting huge. And we're just taking in so much. And then throughout the week, there's just more coming again and again and again.
I'm reusing them often too. The ones that we've done.
Good.
And yeah, like
I did post the links to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, this time I tried something different. I took a nap before session.
Oh.
And woke up in time to, go get cleaned up and dressed. But I took a long nap and did a very extended meditation leading into sleep. So that left me in a very different state this time.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. So your days are getting better.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Somewhat.
Well, you know what? Life is life.
Your help has been invaluable.
Thank you. I'm so happy to
Very
help.
much so.
So happy.
I will definitely talk to you about that.
Okay. Well, before you all got on, it was just me and Jeff talking. We can't wait for all this COVID stuff to just be over so that we can all meet at the Seth House and we can do these things together, just to have a weekend or a week or, whatever we can. And just have that place as a gathering place for all the people that want to learn and experience and manifest Seth's words. So
wow.
Yeah.
When COVID ends. What a phrase.
It will. It has
I know.
to.
It's really on its way out. Yeah.
Do you think so? Because it's just exponentially growing here.
Yeah, but I think it's that last burst as it doesn't know that its days are numbered.
Ah. I love that. Its days are numbered. You'll be afraid. Mickey said so.
Yes. Oh gosh.
Okay, so we've got Larry Rush is watching. Welcome, Larry. And Mitzi is on. So we've got a little group on Facebook watching. So funny. I think that we had a much bigger Facebook presence when it was nice outside.
Oh,
You would think just the opposite, that
mhm.
yeah,
Interesting.
it was. So what else did you find anything else, Jeff, that you want? I mean, this is so cool talking about the tissue capsule and what what it could be and what it could mean and how we can interact with it.
Yeah.
Or can we? Or,
I during Thomas's channeling session that came through, because I was interested in tips and tricks on how to use it.
mhm.
Use it for something. Can
Okay.
we use it for a vehicle? Maybe. Because Seth says we'll never space exploration. We're going about it the wrong way. He says we're going around it instead of through it. So I'm guessing maybe we can use our tissue capsule to go through it. No, I had the same question that you did after I thought about it for a while. It's like, well, can we merge ours with others? It feels like I've done that before in altered states.
Mm.
So I don't know. I actually want to know what it's made of.
Or
Because
is
if everything is energy, energy and vibrations, what stops it? Well, I mean, what is wouldn't it just be more energy? I don't know. See, I get nitpicky. I want to know how it all works.
Interesting. So
I want to know how it's made of, what it's made of, and how it works, so I can use it more.
Well, if everything is energy, then I have to say it's energy. And with my Reiki training, the only thing that Reiki cannot penetrate is an intention.
Oh,
Yes. So if someone has an intention that you cannot penetrate this, then that is so.
wow.
So yes, and thoughts are energy. And so I would say all of that.
Well, there's a spot.
Yeah, and go ahead. I was going to say, maybe you can penetrate it. You just can't mix them. Like you would mix two, oil and water. They'll separate. Maybe you can.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But they just won't mix.
Mm-hmm.
No, it sounds to me like
what?
Reiki would be respecting your right to your intention of how you've set up your reality. And so if you have something counter to what the Reiki master is trying to instill, then it would respect the projection you have set up.
Yes, that makes absolute perfect sense. Yep.
What I was going to say before was that the speakers too had made a statement about recently, someone quoted it on the site this week, about how to us, if we could see them, they would seem to us to be geometry.
I saw that too. And I know that Seth said somewhere, and that was Seth too talking.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love Seth too.
I said speakers, but it was Seth too.
It was
You're
Seth
right.
too. He is the bomb.
Yeah.
He is my favorite guy. I know that Seth said somewhere that if you think about cubes, so I thought about this when you were talking, Jeffrey, about the cubicles, right? Seth said that everything were cubes, and cubes are right next to cubes, or they're nested inside each other like those Russian dolls. And then he said, so you've got these cubes that are right next to each other that are all different dimensions, and then you just take the wires away, but everything is still there. So,
wow.
So, and if you think about, like the spiritualists and all, they say, when you see a ghost, that they're usually, a foot or two off the ground. Well, what if that dimension is just that? It's just that little bit off, and we're just kind of seeing into their dimension a little bit, and vice versa. They're looking at us and we're way down, that's crazy. We have no feet or something. I don't know.
Seth also talked about units of consciousness.
Yes.
How they would appear to us to blink off and blink on.
Yeah.
Correct.
like Christmas tree lights.
Mhm.
However, in reality, they're always on. The blinking is just blinking through different dimensions.
Yes.
So when they're off here, they're on there, and
Right.
vice versa. And in other dimensions, they will take on different forms. Like if I look at this computer in this dimension, it might be a sound in another dimension. It
Mm.
might be a shadow in another dimension. It's still there, but it takes on a different form.
Yeah. Depending on how that dimension is set up.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So when the units of consciousness blink off and blink on, they're actually blinking on in other dimensions.
Nice.
I thought that
Now,
was interesting.
does everyone know about the Seth portrait and the units of consciousness that are built into that?
No.
Yes.
Tell us anyway. It's fascinating.
Well,
What?
I don't know tremendous amounts of particulars on it. And if you go to Ron Card stuff and Google some of that, units of consciousness and Seth portrait, he's got pictures close up where you can see them in there. So
What?
yeah, Rob painted certain elements into that particular painting, and you can see, you can
Oh,
visibly see them.
holy cow.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Mhm.
kind of awesome. I'll ask Ron to repost that, or I'll look for it and I'll repost it myself. So
Gee whiz.
yeah, yeah. So there's a lot of energy in that portrait.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and
It
I've
does
been.
have a different vibe, doesn't it?
It
Yeah, it
does,
sure
yeah.
does.
And I don't
Yeah.
think he did it to any other one but that one.
Wow.
Hmm. And I believe on the back of it, Rob might have posted a note as to what he did.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
He did.
I'd
He
love
was a
to see that.
wonderful documenter. He documented everything. Like
Yeah.
even on the bottom of the coffee table, he has his name on the coffee table. Like
Really?
you do not miss the fact that Rob Butts owned something.
Awesome.
And I've been reading so many of the different books. And
Uh-huh.
then when I come to Rob's notes, I have to stop for a minute and think of how much they enhance Jane's work. Jane's work wouldn't be Jane's work without Robert Butts.
Right.
And his notes are works of art on their own.
Right.
Mhm.
They're an extremely integral part of what's being laid out.
It's
Yeah.
like 2 or 3 books in one.
Mm-hmm,
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, without Rob's notes, we wouldn't know how Jane felt. He would put in there that, Jane was feeling tired, but after the session, she was, very upbeat and, happy about things. Or the fact that, when Seth 2 came through, it felt like a pyramid over her head or a triangle, a funnel. I think she called it a funnel. So, because Jane never said those words, they
Yeah.
all came through Rob.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
I've also lately been thinking that if anybody were to want to start a book study, I think the early sessions would be the place to go, because I think a lot of us would
You okay, baby?
like to read that again. We read it because a lot of us haven't read the first one at all.
I agree. I would love to do that. I would love to do that. When we got together right before COVID, we were going to start with book 1, and then the group decided they would rather do Nature of Personal Reality again. So we never started either one.
Maybe we could do it on a Zoom thing.
We could if you guys wanted to pick another time and another day, and we could do that. Yeah, it's here.
That sounds good.
We have the technology now.
That
Mhm.
sounds good.
Yeah. Oshar and I just went to Rick Stack's website, and we bought we were only missing one of the personal sessions, but we were missing, I think, four or five of the deleted sessions. Oh, well, I'm sorry. We only needed one of the early sessions, and then the personal deleted sessions, I think we needed 4 or 5 of those. So we have the whole collection now. I think
Wow.
we have every book. Yeah.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm working on doing that. It's very difficult from here though because it adds 25 or $30 to every book to send it here.
Shipping.
Mm,
See, for us, it was it was under $8 for shipping for
yeah,
all of those
yeah.
books. Yeah.
But the moment when you type in that European
UK.
address, it it started adding and adding until it was almost the price of the books.
That's crazy. Because right
That
now
was
he's
very
got,
difficult.
yeah, right now he has a 15% off if you spend so much money or a 20% off. And if anybody
Mhm.
wants to know, the code is Santa 15 and Santa 20. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So
I
if you,
love books, but I just can't afford them anymore. I do
Mhm.
the ebooks.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you know, I didn't think they were so bad. They were $23 a piece. You
Hmm.
know, I didn't think that was bad. Um,
Yeah.
and it finished
No,
our
it's not
collection.
bad.
And
That's kind of
actually
like what
finding
I'm
them
used to
on,
paying anyway,
well,
for
finding them on
books back in the
Amazon,
day.
it's the same price and they're used.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
Mhm.
that's kind of, you think of a book, well, I'm used to buying hardbound,
Mhm.
and they're going to be $20
Right.
and up,
Mhm.
19.99,
Mhm. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
21.95.
Mhm.
They have all these funny little numbers.
Right. So now I don't have to say anymore, oh, I can't find this quote. I don't have this book. I should have all of them now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I need them. I need to be able
Oh,
to find
definitely.
quotes and to read. So what Jeff had read about the tissue capsule, I went through and I really researched it and I found all that. But I'm glad it was brought
Mm,
up this week after people have had time to digest it and think about it. So
yeah.
what else did Thomas's higher self have to say about tissue capsule? Was there more?
Just no, just a lot of what we were talking about, and he dovetailed it into the stuff that he was talking about. It just got posted. If anybody wants to see, it's channeling number 3 on
Mm,
Thomas's
YouTube.
YouTube channel.
All right.
And I like
wow.
his videos because he cuts out all the beginning chit chat and stuff, and he just gets into the channeling and the questions.
Okay. All right. We'll link that at the bottom. Either you link it, Jeff, or I'll try to find it and link it.
See if I can't find it and put it in the chat, link in the chat.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, putting it in the chat here is good for us, but nobody else can see that. So if you
Yeah,
put
but
it later in
can
the
get,
Facebook, that's the place to put it.
or you can just paste it there while you're there.
Yeah.
No one else can
So
see the chat that's on here.
correct.
I didn't know
Right. If
that.
you look at Facebook, it doesn't show our names. Like you guys could see Jeffrey, Kate, Audrey. YouTube doesn't do that.
Ah,
And if somebody calls in, I don't know what that shows, but I don't even think it shows a box. So
wow.
No,
Facebook
it just
does
shows a
alter it.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then
Facebook
I'll have
does
to stop
alter it.
eating because I thought my name was covering my rude mouth. Chewing.
Well, as I'm looking at you, Mickey, your name is in the lower left corner. It looks like
Yes,
curtains. Okay.
yes, yes.
You're in the middle.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just literally moments after the session started, our food arrived and we had not eaten all day. So I was picking on the
Well, that's
side.
all right. You eat. It's fine.
I'm fine.
All
Now that I
right.
have picked at some of it, I ate my
Okay.
salad.
Oh, nice. I didn't even know you
Uh,
ate. You did a good job of hiding it.
I hid behind the nameplate.
Oh, okay. Ah, that's great. Now, Audrey, you got snow, didn't you? Lots of it.
Yes, yeah, no, not that bad. It was
Okay.
more, it turned into icy yuck.
Snain.
Okay. All right. So mine is just we got snow yesterday, but it's just a dusting
Yeah, we
and
got
nothing
snow
on
too.
the roads or the sidewalks. You got
It,
snow too?
yeah, it didn't last. We got about say 3 inches, but
Oh my
as the day
God.
went on,
That's a lot.
yeah, but it turned into rain.
Mm-hmm.
So what we
Yeah,
call snain. So
Oh.
that kind of washes away the fluffiness, and you just get your lawn has the white crisp top, but
Okay.
your sidewalks and driveways are fine.
Okay. Yeah.
We had
Which
to
I was
chisel the ice off the
oh
sidewalk, and
Mm.
it was a mess.
yeah, that
Mm.
scares me because walking on that with a stick is ugly,
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
very
So,
scary.
so here in Elmira, Seth picked a very lovely spot of New York. I say this is the sweet spot for weather in New York
Yeah.
because we are shielded by mountains in Pennsylvania and then that was a nor'easter that came up through and there were two different models. One said, we would get rain. The other model said we would, miss the whole thing. If it went up the middle, we were going to get pounded with snow. But it pushed off
Oh,
just enough to the east that we really didn't get anything. We got a little bit of rain and snow, and and the grass still has snow, and I can see some on the rooftops, but the roads are dry.
yeah, but the winter is very young.
Yeah.
It is but a baby.
Well, let's not think bad thoughts. No, I saw a woolly bear this year, and he said we're going to have a good winter.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes, yes,
That's
and
cool.
yeah,
A lot of people love it.
I
I'm
do.
not one of them, but a lot of people absolutely love the snow.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they get out there and they make angels and all that. Boy, I couldn't even think of lying on the cold ground. I don't think
Love the
so.
snow. Love it.
Oh no.
I don't do this anymore, but I used to go around in bare feet in it.
Oh,
Oh
Sloppy.
dear God.
I've done
That's
that.
crazy.
Yeah.
I went to college up in the very high North Carolina mountains. So
Mm.
when the snow hit, we would run out of the dormitory and steal all the garbage can lids. And we ride down from the top of the
Oh,
mountain and
wow.
ride all the way to the big football field at the bottom. So
Oh
that was
wow.
lovely. But I had a 17-year-old body. So
Mm.
Well, if you dig back in photos on Facebook, there's pictures of me and Oshara making snow angels.
oh yeah.
So we have been known to do that, at times, and it's a lot of fun.
It is.
The
Yeah.
thing is I like snow. I wish snow would only snow on grass. It should
Yeah.
stay off the sidewalks, stay off the roads, and then everybody would be fine.
Yes, I agree.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I mean,
I
I like
agree.
it to look at it as long as I don't have to go out in it, unless I want to go out to play.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, but shoveling,
Oh.
you know, we got two snow blowers. So I said to her, I'm like, well, it's not going to snow this year because we have two snow blowers. It's just the way life works.
Yep.
So everybody will thank me.
I just got finished repairing my tin roof on my patio
Oh.
because it's supposed to start raining in 2 weeks. And usually when it starts raining here, it doesn't stop for a couple of months, and then it doesn't rain the rest of the year.
So you guys have to like collect all your rain and.
No, there's two rivers here. I live on two rivers.
So you aren't in a drought area.
Well,
that's
you would
good.
think they like to tell us that we are, but our water, we have a little town that predates most of the big cities around us, and we have our own water rights, and the state can't touch them. So everybody around us deals with droughts, and we really don't.
Oh, okay.
If that makes
Wow.
any sense.
Yeah, very nice.
That's
Martin,
cool.
what's the weather like for you? You live in frigid town.
Actually, really warm here
Is
today.
it?
So warm, in fact, flies are out flying around.
Oh, my.
Wow.
They're looking for
Yeah.
Mike Pence.
Yeah.
Oh, that was too funny.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so that's the weather report. How about any spiritual
Mhm.
experiences this week?
my niece is still here, so no.
Mm.
Your niece has been there all week?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay. Is she gone now? Did you take her home or is she?
Staying another day.
Oh, because of the ice?
No, but I don't want to get
Okay.
into it. But
Okay. Well, I'm glad because now you're with us.
Yes.
Yes, that's nice.
she's breaking up with her girlfriend, and it's all a mess.
Oh.
I said it.
Okay, that's fine. We will lots of love to her and hope she gets feeling better soon.
She's poised on
Thank
the
you.
edge of a brand new adventure.
Yeah,
Exactly what I told her.
beautiful.
Greater things to come.
Exactly.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
But she's a teacher, and she has to get back. They're teaching virtually now, but Wednesday they go back.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so she has to be back.
Mhm. Now, where does she teach? In the city?
Connecticut.
Connecticut. Nice.
Yeah.
So you've just
Excellent.
been
We can all,
entertaining.
yeah,
Yes.
we can
Yeah.
all send her energy.
Oh, that would be
Absolutely.
nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I've been,
positive energy.
Thank you.
been studying the consciousness families, and, a lot of people identify with Samari, and I've never really fit in with that concept. I mean, I do have artistic abilities, but I don't really use them quite the way that I could, I suppose. So I'm kind of wondering what family I'm in, and I really am kind of really sensing Vold. Is that bad?
Oh.
No, none of them are bad. No, it's
I
not.
know. I don't want to say I'm not Samari because I feel like I don't fit in if I say that.
Oh,
But
no.
But I don't
I'm not
either. I'm not
Samari.
Samari.
I'm
I don't
not.
think I am either.
No.
yeah,
No.
okay. Yeah.
I knew that from the
two
first
more.
time she described it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody, well, gosh, it was Joanne Helfrich. I'm Tumold and Grimaldi, I believe. I'm a blend between those two. So, and most people are somewhat all of them with
Yeah.
that you have
Yeah.
concentrations in certain places because I'm an
Mhm.
artist as well. I mean, I do,
Yeah.
digital work and I, hand paint. But my focus really is teaching.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So
So
what-
don't ever feel bad. You always fit in, Martin.
Okay. Thank you.
You're in our family.
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
Martin, can you tell us what the families of consciousness are?
I haven't gotten them memorized. So, I mean, I know Ilda and Timold. Yeah.
hmm
I'm not sure if I'm saying the names right. Though,
Tumold.
so that's the thing.
I think Tumold is correct because I kept saying to her, I'm too old.
Yeah. And of course, Vold. And there's something that's like Samari, but I never can remember what the word is. It's similar sounding.
Yeah. Grimaldi
Yeah.
is, yeah.
Where can I find more about this?
I don't remember where they are.
I guess I just looked them up on Google. A whole bunch of stuff came up. So
Um,
I was just reading
There-
what different people said about and that there are
Yeah.
different descriptions on each site. They don't all
Yes.
describe them the same way.
hmm
Yeah.
There is descriptions on Paul Helfrich's site.
Mm.
So, and that's something I would like to delve into a little bit more because I don't really understand them.
Yeah, me too.
Mm.
Me too.
So,
What is Paul Heldrick's site called?
paulhelfrich.com.
Imagine that.
Yes. Now we have a question on Facebook. Let me put my glasses on and look studious. From Mitzi Stoffer, she said, "What are some fun things you've done to encourage yourself during lockdown? Any special Seth affirmations, meditations, anything that's been particularly special?" Well, Mitzi, this is this is really what we chose
just
to
roll
do during lockdown.
Just roll
Was
it, baby. Just roll it.
get together, and instead
Okay.
of being a little Elmira group, we ended up being an international group. So that's one of the things that
Take your
we've
time.
chosen to do. Anybody else?
I'm walking more, hiking.
Oh, that's good
And
for us.
taking lovely photographs.
Yeah, that's good for us.
Yeah. So for anybody that doesn't know, Audrey, she is the most wonderful photographer. She takes
Yeah.
gorgeous pictures of nature, and she like zooms in on bugs and
Yeah.
little pieces of flora. I mean, she has such a wonderful perspective and such a good eye for photography. So one of her pictures so inspired me that I am doing a painting of it. And I sent her
Beautiful.
I sent her a quickie. I can show it to you guys if you want to see it. Hold on a second.
Mhm.
It's
I
here.
saw that photo. I was looking through my
You-
photos and I'm like, yes, that's
All right,
it.
so I have it here because I'm trying to look at it because I need to look at it. So that's
Wow.
so not done,
Mm.
but that's on its way.
It's from the
That is
monastery.
extraordinary.
Oh, it's it was so inspiring to see that photograph. And I'm like, between the colors and the composition, it was just beautiful. And I
Both
asked her,
things
I
are
did
lovely.
ask permission.
I should learn. Yes, I should learn how to use a camera.
Oh my God. Well, you don't need to learn. You
What
got
do
it,
you
girl.
mean?
Most of it's from my phone.
Oh, the phones are great
Wow.
cameras.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yes. Miriam on Facebook said, yes, Martin, inquiring minds want to know about the families. So, so we're going to give you homework for next week.
All right.
So let's get some idea of these families of consciousness. And you know something, Miriam, you can look into this too and, post some stuff and, we can, go back and forth and figure this all out.
Yeah.
I could never narrow it down to one. And so I got confused. I seem to be 2 or 3.
Yeah, and I think that's
Yeah,
very common.
normal.
Yeah, I think
Is
it's
it?
at least 2. But
Mhm.
you know what? I know that I've been told the 2 that I was, and I can't remember. It's Tumold and something else. I don't remember the other one, Grimaldi. But I mean, clearly the art stuff, I'm creative, so Sumari's got to be in there too.
Yeah.
But like I have to say, and the Seth community may just bash me for this one, but I do not like Sumari singing at all. I think it is, I just don't like it. It does not resonate
It didn't resonate with me. Yeah.
It does not. It's like a
No.
cat screaming.
Well, I found that I didn't like what I was hearing, but it did trigger me to do my own what can I call it? Spontaneous voicing. As we talked about once very long time ago, I have a tape that I have to find. Where
Yes.
it happened accidentally, and it was very clear as a bell, and I felt, I really resonated with it, but it wasn't Samari. And so I was frustrated because I thought, well, surely this means, it'll narrow it down, but it didn't. I still knew I was not Samari.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, who else sings and who else, is into art and dance and all of that? Because I taught dance for many years. It was everything in my life was something creative.
Yeah, I don't know what it is either, but I do not resonate with Sumari, at least with the singing part of it, or the poetry. When I see that it's, translated, it's like, oh, I don't know. It just doesn't.
It wasn't for me.
Yeah, and that's okay. I mean,
some folks really love it, but
yes, they do. That's what I said. I could get bashed for this one. Yeah, it just wasn't for me. I really, although I love Jane's writing and some of her poetry, but I'm not a poet either. So.
At different times in my life, I was very devoted to poetry. I wrote a lot, I read a lot, I enjoyed it a lot. But then that was a period.
Mhm.
And, you know, by the
Yeah,
time I would
same.
say 30, 35, I was absolutely through with it.
Mhm. Yeah,
Mhm.
I
You
get
know,
that.
folks
Yeah.
post poetry online all the time, and I just look at it and go, yeah, right, and move to the next post.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. And as far as learning Seth, because I haven't studied Seth nearly as long as you guys all have, any of you. Um, it was Ron Card, and there was a couple of other. There's a lady named Violet.
Hmm.
I was watching her post from the very beginning, and these memes really helped me, especially
Hmm.
when the meme was there, and then they did like a little interpretation of what they felt it was. It was
Mm,
almost like having a discussion group. So much
Hmm.
of what I learned came from there, or it sparked something in me to, then go to maybe the discussion group and say, well, I read this, and what do you guys think about that? And then, we would delve into it that way. But paying attention to the memes that are showing up on these Facebook
Hmm.
groups and pages, they're a wealth of information, and the
Yeah.
people that are interpreting them, and they are interpretations. Like when you look
Hmm.
at Ron's posts, I had somebody, they're like, who is this Ron says? What is Seth saying? And I'm like, no, that means Ron is saying this.
Hmm.
So
yeah.
most
It's
people
sometimes
will
hard
say,
to tell
this
the
is
difference.
mine. Well, he usually says Ron says.
Yeah.
um, but if you pick it up after that, then you wouldn't obviously see it.
Yeah. I always look
um,
for the quote marks because I want to stay within, I want to know that I'm within what Seth actually said.
yes, yes, and
Especially on other people's memes, because they
yes.
often go on and then forget to delineate where they're starting to
Yes,
speak.
that is true.
Mm,
That,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, I've seen that too.
yeah,
And that's why it's so important that I have the books, because I go back
yes.
and I'm like, okay, so Seth said this, and this is very intriguing. So we talk about the tissue capsule. So there it was in that exercise, and I'm like, well, I still don't understand it. So where else can I
Mhm,
find it? So I put it into Finding Seth and
mhm,
tried to find the other places where it said it. And I did that research, and I still didn't understand it. So
mhm.
it's just dig and dig and dig. But then I want to pull out the book and read, well, what happened before that brought him to this? There has
mhm,
to be some, beginning. And usually most of the people that post do say, pick up the book to find, the whole meaning behind it. Because people take
mhm.
things out of context as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
I think it's
No.
important too to stress to everybody else out there because you see all the time people coming on the page saying, I've read Seth Speaks. Now, what should I read after that? And well, now that I've read such and such, where should I go? I think it's so important for people to understand that they should listen to their own intuition, listen
Mm,
to their higher selves, follow what you're being led to do. Don't ask the rest of the whole world out there, where should I go? They don't know your soul. They don't know what you are creating and the path that's being laid out for you. You've
Mm-hmm.
really got to learn to trust
Mm-hmm.
your own pickup
yeah.
because so often it's 1,000 times different from what someone else's path is supposed to be. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what they know. But it may not apply to you, and you go off and spend 6 or 7 months working on the book they suggested. And then it takes you've lost a year where you could have been reading the one that your higher self was begging you to pay attention to. You know, the life
Right.
lessons, the way that the reading triggers things in your life, the way you can read something and then 15 minutes later something happens that accentuates the lesson. But if you're
Mm,
reading a book that was someone else's suggestion, you may not get as much of that as you could.
Right.
mm,
Another
And
thing that's really nice about the Seth books is that you don't have to read them from start to finish. You can just kind of
no,
open them up
yeah.
and start anywhere.
yes, yes, but
Mm-hmm.
that's
Most,
an
yeah,
ultimate trust, isn't it? You're trusting that when you open it, you will get what you were supposed to get. So you're trusting yourself,
mhm.
Yeah.
Most
trust your
Seth,
higher self.
most Seth readers that I know, I would imagine this would apply to you, Kate, and I'm just guessing that when they're researching something, they have multiple Seth books open at the same time, and they
Mm,
switch from one to the other.
Of course. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so important.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Great point, Jeff.
And everybody has a different perspective on which book is best to start with. Seth wrote his books, he wrote Seth Speaks First. And that seems to be like a global idea of the big picture can create all this. And then he wrote The Nature of Personal Reality that brings it just to you. And this is what you can do and how you can get to this point. But then the Seth material is how Jane got
the
to
beginning.
Seth Speaks. So to me, and I read them exactly backwards than what I'm going to suggest, is I think Seth material first, Seth Speaks second, Nature of Personality third. I read them just opposite than that. And
Right.
it didn't hurt me at all.
I didn't. I read it the way you just said. But that's
Okay.
only because
That's when they
I
came
was
out.
reading it chronologically at that time. I was
Sure.
very young, and as she created it, I was following what she did.
Yes.
So I went along with each book as it was published.
Me too.
I became aware later on, long after that, I became aware that as I go back to look through books, I needed a different sequence altogether. There were different ones I needed depending on the stage of life I was in. So I learned to follow what I felt I needed,
Yes.
and I always found what was appropriate for that time.
And that's what led me to reading Oversoul 7, which then led me to, and I still have it here, I haven't finished it, which led me to Dreams, Evolution, and Value Fulfillment. So that's, I'm on the second volume now, and this has been such a busy week that I haven't read a whole lot, just here and there. But I took it with me to physical therapy, and I left it sitting with my therapist, and I came back for it, and she goes, "Oh, I've never heard of Jane Roberts." And I'm like, "Well, let me tell you."
I'm glad you brought that up.
I had a business card. I handed her that, and I'm like, start with Seth Speaks, and I plugged Tim Harthart's space, and I'm like, he is the guy. Listen to his books. Because she's like, "Oh, I don't buy books, I listen to them." So I gave her the where to go for that. And we talked about Seth, and it was great. But here she is. I mean, she looks like she's just out of high school, but she's probably in her mid-20s. And she did not know there was such an author, such an acclaimed author that wrote so many books and sold so many of them. It's one thing to write a bunch of books that nobody reads, but there's so much. And
I think there's a lot of people that don't know about it, and I think it's
I
willfully
agree.
so.
Well, I'm trying.
Maybe they're not ready
I'm
for
trying
it.
to
Yes,
just.
I really think that's willfully true.
My niece is an English teacher, and she never heard of it.
Do you want to hear?
She has now, though.
Do you want to hear the saddest thing? The saddest thing is John Spaziani, which his dad owned the Seth House when Jane and Rob lived there. They lived in the carriage house. And John is a good friend of the Seth House now. He comes to visit us. And Rob used to give him painting lessons and stuff. So they were friends. He was 10 to 13 years old when he knew them. He was just a boy. So anyway, he knew where she went to college. So he wrote to Skidmore, and they're like, "Well, we don't have record of Jane Roberts." And he said, "Well, she's a famous author." And they're like, "She's famous. What did she ever do?" This is her college.
Yes.
That was insane. So it was that interaction that got me the poem that I posted for you guys. That was her junior year. So that's for her college not to know that they had such a talented woman. That's crazy.
I think out of 500 people that I might meet or run into, maybe 2 have heard of it, and it's quite possible neither of them gives a damn about it.
Oh,
I quit bringing it up.
Huh?
I just don't talk about it.
Oh, I don't either. I don't
I
either.
talk
I've
about it all
lost
the
a lot
time.
of friends.
I
No, I've
used
lost
to.
a lot
I
of
not
well-meaning
anymore.
friends who think that I'm possessed by the devil because of
Oh
reading it.
my.
Oh,
And
I've
that's
got
within the
cousins that think
family.
that about me. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, there are family
Yeah.
members, there are friends, there are people who are not ready. They cannot handle the idea that she picked up somebody who previously had lived, quote unquote.
Wow.
And that's the whole question in itself, you know.
Now, the young woman that the physical therapist, as soon as she saw the book, she said to me, "Is this religious?" And she like turned her nose up, and I'm like, "No, just the opposite."
Yes.
Just the
Yes.
opposite. So I think she's very intrigued by it, and I'm very excited. And I will ask her on Monday, did you look that book up? You know.
Well, I'm from a family of ministers and missionaries.
Oh,
So I just leave that
I'm
there.
sorry.
Thank you
I'm
I
very
sorry
much.
to hear
understand.
I
that.
appreciate your sympathy. Thank you very much.
I
And I
I'm
would
understand.
say that it took decades and decades for the intended guilt that I was being showered with to no longer bother me. It's not that it stopped, it's just that I no longer care, you know. But
Hmm.
people have to be ready for whatever path is being presented
Yeah.
in their lives. And, you know, lots of stuff comes up in your life and you don't pick up on it or follow it,
Hmm.
or, you know, it's just not for you.
Yeah. Well, the first time Seth was brought to me, I wasn't ready for it at all. A woman came to one of our uh, classes, and she's like, "Well, have you ever heard of this woman?" And I hadn't. And she talked about Seth, and she said that you can find these on YouTube. Well, I Googled it and I found it on YouTube, and it scared the living shit out of me.
Ah, really?
I'm like, oh my God, I couldn't understand the words.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I understand it clearly now. So I don't think I just so wasn't ready at all. I mean, I was still
Yeah.
Catholic at that point. I mean, it
Mhm.
was a long time ago. And then, 4 years ago, when it was brought to me again, I was all for it. This is a great idea. Let's learn it. And
Mhm.
so, yeah. So I know what it means to not, but
Mm.
I think that one channeling was just, nobody should look at that first.
well, you
So,
know,
I
I
first,
have. Oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I have Jewish and Mormon and background mainly. My ideology is probably very largely formed about half and half. Both my father's
Mhm.
side of the family were Mormon. My mother's side of the family, well, her mother was Jewish. I mean, that was what she raised me. She taught me. My mother's family also Seventh Day Adventists and Jehovah's
Boy.
Witnesses on my father's side.
oh,
So that's
Oh
what
wow.
I grew up
goodness.
with. That mix. And yeah, you can a lot of those groups. Well, the Jehovah's Witnesses and Seventh Day Adventists, the ones in the family that are that, they just think I'm completely demon possessed. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah,
Nobody has treated me that way. However,
yeah,
those aren't the kind of people that are around me. So, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah. Now,
yeah.
there has been a lot of comments on Facebook. So let me catch up with them. Gloria said, a good simple intro to his concepts is Education of Oversoul 7. Great.
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
do. That was a great one and an easy read. Joe said, so about a spiritual experience, I'm still quite ill that I can't join live. No COVID, luckily, but energetic issues. Oh, where is this? Energetic. So she fell asleep, got a nightmare. Guys scratched my house with their big truck, and I'm assuming this is a dream. I thought this can't happen to me. Then I remembered, oh, I can pray. I went into my silence and asked God, angels, Michael, to help me, felt the love in my heart welling up, and thought nothing can hurt me when my love vibe flows. And yes, there suddenly was a way out. I could open a door, ran through it, was safe again. And then she woke. So this was a dream. Waking up with great relief, and so very glad that I can successfully change the course of a bad dream. And I thank Seth's great tools for that. And let me say that you can do that in waking life too. You can change your focus to correct something you overcorrected, even, take it back, to change the course of a bad situation. Gloria is, she's glad that especially young people are open to this. Charlie is on. Hi, Charlie. He wants to know if any of us have listened to Jane's ESP class recordings. Well, I've read a few of them. I've heard a few. So when you buy stuff from Rick, he usually sends a CD with the stuff. At least that's what he's done. That's what he's done for me in the past. So I've gotten a recording along with the books that I bought, and I usually buy a lot at one time. So he'll throw in some class stuff. And I did buy the ESP class books, and I love them. But Charlie, Mickey actually was in Rick Stack's ESP class that he would do after he came from seeing Seth.
Right.
So that is just
years.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Charlie said
for people who don't know, Rick Stack was in the sessions with Seth. I mean, he was part of the New York boys.
Yes,
I love it.
He and a carload of people would drive down every Tuesday night to be in Jane's ESP class.
I think it was about 5 hours.
Probably is. Yeah.
It was Lawrence Davidson and what's his name that just passed away?
Richie Kendall.
Richie Kendall.
Yeah.
I think another one, I don't know who it was. They used to drive.
Rick Stack, Barry Gellis.
Gellis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They used to drive
5 or 6 of them. Right.
They used to drive like a couple hours each way to get there and back.
It's a 5-hour trip. And at one point, he told us this when we showed him Apartment 5. So he did get to see Apartment 5 before he passed again. And it was before we had it. It was when the boys were still living there. And he said to me, he said, at one point we decided the trip was really long. I mean, 10 hours in the car. So they rented an apartment in Elmira, and they went to Jane's class, and then they spent the next day, and there was absolutely nothing to do. And they're like, the drive is so worth not living in Elmira.
Well, Rick is so absolutely quintessentially New York City.
Well, I think all of them were.
Yeah, maybe so. But I mean, in Rick's case, I didn't go to the home of any of the others of them. But in Rick's case, my God, he really was a New Yorker, upscale New Yorker. And it's so interesting when you're reading about them and their interactions with Jane and, and the stuff, because that class was so down to earth. It used to surprise me. I love the fact that it was so down to earth, because I was a hippie then. Absolutely devoted hippie. And I didn't feel out of place with anybody that showed up at his classes.
Nice.
Great.
Now, we've met a lot of people that are still local that were at the classes and knew all those boys. Depends on what years people, because she did it for so many years. And the thing that was the most interesting is the ages of people. There were children as young as 10, 12, and then people that were in their 70s. And everybody got something out of Jane's teachings and Seth being there. Yeah.
And then those very famous physicists that would show up in between that she doesn't say much about. Yeah.
Right.
But the fact that I don't know if it was her or Rob who happened to mention that a lot of stuff that came out in the field of physics was directly a result of how Seth had helped them to see it. He gave them a lot of information that they could use to go on as you look for this and this connection, whatever you're researching. Supposedly, because I kept trying to figure out who it was.
Okay.
We went through a lot of changes in what we thought. in
Hmm.
terms of science, 70s and 80s.
Yeah, yeah.
So I
Well,
wanted to know, well, whose theory was helped by Seth?
right. I mean, so much of what Seth said did come to fruition. So
Yes,
that really doesn't surprise me.
right,
Yeah.
right. Me either.
Yeah.
Gosh, he's
Charlie's,
had an impact on our world.
oh my
Gosh,
gosh, yes. Tremendous.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Charlie also said some people are put off by the Ouija board thing. And, Oshar and I have done spirit board since we met. And again, it's a tool, and the tool is
Yeah.
going to work the way you expect it to work. And I used a Ouija board, long before I met Oshara, actually at a spiritualist community we have
Hmm.
here, Lily Day. Also, it was a woman that was ordained there. And, it's just another tool like ruins or
It's a jump off point, I've found.
yeah, and it
For those
is
who could do it,
slow.
it led you to
It
somewhere else
it
very quickly.
it did. It is slow going, but there is nothing like confirmation when you have a word spelled out on that board.
Right, right.
It's quite amazing.
And it
And
easily makes itself, it makes you know that it's not BS because of the
absolutely.
things that come through and they can prove to themselves the things they say about you or someone else. And then you find out, if
Yeah,
it's about you, you can always say, well, it was my subconscious. Not if they're telling you things about someone else. And then you talk to that
There
person
we
and they're
go.
like, how did you know that?
yeah, true, true.
How the hell did you know that?
Right. So there is nothing to be frightened of a Ouija board.
Mm-mm.
I don't particularly like the traditional one because it was marketed really for children
Yeah.
and really to scare people, and that
Yeah. Yeah.
that fear
US
factor is
Games
there.
Company.
Yeah. But if you use it as a spiritual tool to
Hmm.
speak with the intention of the highest good, then that is what you get.
Right.
So there is no fear attached to a board when you have the intention. Just like we talked in the beginning, the only thing that Reiki wouldn't penetrate would be the intention not for it to penetrate. So when you have the intention for only good, only love and light, then that is, you are protected at that point. And
Hmm.
I believe that with my whole heart. I mean, yeah. Maureen said Lawrence. So yes, Lawrence Davidson, right? That was his name. And I think there was another Larry too. They used to come. I think there were two Larrys.
I think so.
The priest breastplate in ancient Israel was essentially a Ouija board.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
If you
wow.
think about it.
Now
Oh, yeah.
Joe asked
Yeah.
if anybody has used it on your own and does it work? Um,
I always did.
yeah,
I
and
never, I didn't like using it with someone else. I
okay.
found that it was a lot faster. And as I got into it, I learned that I could pick it up in my head so much faster. It led to
Mm-hmm.
direct voice because
Absolutely.
it became a lot easier.
Yes. Yeah.
But back to Martin's point about the priest uh, breastplate, it was such a what we now call a crystal grid because it had all those
Yeah.
Oh.
different stones. It was
Oh.
definitely a
Yeah.
crystal grid for power. And, they knew
Yeah.
how to place a particular stone at a certain point on it to maximize the amount of power. And
Wow.
then some people would say, oh, well, that was just the what do you call it? In the Jewish faith, what do you call it? In the lead, the rabbi. I couldn't think of the
Oh,
word,
okay.
you know, but in the Christian religion, it's there too. People don't pay attention to the fact of what the Catholic priest is wearing. He's slinging the ashes because he's burning incense with a certain intent, but the mitered hat that he's wearing has stones placed in certain strategic spots, and they have stones on the front of their um, that long robe.
Mm.
So there's a lot of knowledge about the energy that was in stones and the fact that there's what we call subtle energy in the Ormus world. There's energy that's not watching lightning go across the sky. There's a lot of energy that's available to those who are willing to take the time to learn how to use it. But it's
Well,
all through. The Bible itself has a lot of high magic in it.
yes, it does.
Hmm.
The
Uh,
breastplate, the stones were over each, they would light up over a different letter.
Yes,
So that's the
yes,
thing.
here, here.
Oh,
And
You
wow.
give me chills. You give me
and that's where
chills.
the Bible code people will tell you that too,
Yes,
because they'll say the Bible was written letter by letter.
yes,
Well, where does that come from?
exactly. Well, and I love the fact that in Hebrew, every letter has a numerical
Yeah,
meaning, and
yeah,
that certain words were made spelled in a certain way because of the number they would resolve to, and
yeah,
what the power of that number would be. There's even down to how the letters are formed. And
yeah.
I have read certain theories about the fact that they're all formed from certain positions of your hand.
Mm,
You know,
yeah.
it's just fascinating. I found that Judaism was just so rich with spiritual knowledge, and
Yeah.
mind-boggling the
Hmm.
amount, the intensity of it. But
Well,
particularly
that
when you talk about the
Spock
breastplate.
salute, that's Jewish in origin.
Yes, yes.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, I love Spock.
Yeah.
And Q.
Yeah. Yeah.
Q he reminds me of Seth and of the speakers.
Mm, yeah.
I it's all so rich. I mean, now to look on all of that stuff that was coming before, and now when you look on it in light of the science that we now know we didn't know then, molecular wise and so forth, resonance and all of that stuff, the universe, when you go back and read some of the things Seth was telling us about the other levels of existence, as I look at the universe, the richness of it, the fact that it has thousands and millions maybe of different ways energy is being used. Energy, this we know so little. Oh my God, we know so little. But as someone posted during the week, different quotes that he was talking about, where he was getting into how varied and how numerical and how resonant the universe really is. And we don't pay it. We're all caught up on such crap and bull, the price of this and the color of that and the whatever. But the universe is mind-bogglingly complex and
Yeah.
intricate, So then you start to say, well, my goodness, the God vibe, the God personage, who is not really a person, but the concept of what it is so vast.
Yeah.
It is so absolutely vast in the way that it's made up. It's brilliant. It's beyond any brilliance I could even imagine. So you learn more and more and more about how really brilliant it is.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful to Seth for even bothering with us.
Ah,
Mm,
he was where we are.
Yes.
mhm.
That's
Yeah.
the beauty of this, and we're going to be there doing the same thing, teaching other people at some point. We're
He
doing
reached
it right now.
back to us, thank God.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh
absolutely.
gosh.
Most of the beings that are channeled seem to say that, the ones that were, had lifetimes on earth, we were where you are and we had
Yeah.
help from others, and so we're paying it forward, or a sort
Yeah.
of, you know,
Yeah.
certainly. Yeah, my own words.
I
Yeah.
love the quote somebody did during the week. I've seen it a couple of times, different weeks. But this quote where Seth was saying, "You are as dead now as you're ever going to be."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't get deader than this. This is
Yeah.
it. You're going to, when you die here, you're going to suddenly realize you're in another body somewhere else.
Hmm.
It
Mhm.
may be a different one, or it could be the same, but you don't die.
Right. Right.
Which
Nope.
which go every scientist will tell you there's the law of the conservation of energy, and you can't destroy energy. It'll
Right.
Right.
manifest in a different way. It'll shoot out somewhere else in a different form, but you can't destroy it.
Right.
So
Energy
we
never
need to
ends.
cut out worrying about that garbage, you
Yeah.
know.
No beginning
Right.
and no end. Yeah.
No, yes, infinity reigns.
Yeah.
There's just contrast.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
contrast.
Yeah.
Thank heavens for that.
Mm.
It's all brilliant. I mean, my goodness, the mind of God.
Yes. Yes. So, I want to talk a little bit about the Psy-time that I have planned.
Yes.
So this one is from the early sessions, book number 1. It's at the very end of the book, session 37. And they had a guest with them that night, and his name was John Bradley. I
Mm,
think he was a doctor. I think
mm,
that he is someone that Rob helped do some anatomy drawings, maybe.
Hmm.
So I think Rob was involved in doing some freelance work with, and I'm pretty sure this is the name, but they also changed names too. So I'm not
yeah.
sure if this is that same person or not. But a John Bradley was at this session. So Seth refers to it will help the 3 of you to do this. So that's the 3. Because I'm like, I had to find his name somewhere else. Again, it led me to research more stuff. That's how I found out he might be this doctor.
Mm,
So he came to visit with them and wanted to sit in on this particular session. So it's called Experiencing an Idea Intuitively. And Seth has a lot to say about this. And he uses a lot of the thoughts that we've been talking about today. There is no beginning and no end. And he talks about what ideas really are and how to view them and ways that we could experience it somewhat. He talks about the fact that we're in camouflage reality, that it kind of masks it, makes it a little more difficult for us. But anyway, because we're already 2:26. We've been on for an hour and a half already. I know.
oh my gosh.
I know. So I'd like to, I'd like to get to this so that we have enough time to really, talk about it a little bit. So if
Our
everybody
new
is,
4-hour trans.
I
Our
know,
new
like,
4-hour format.
yeah, almost.
We've gone 4 hours before.
Yes, we've
Yes,
gone more than 4 hours. Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I was tickled to bits.
Yeah. Now, Joe said, thank you, Mickey. She's so glad that you use the board by yourself. And so that made her feel good. Yeah.
Oh, that's
And
nice.
yeah, I've
I
used
hope
it
I get to
myself
meet
too.
her someday.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do. I hope
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. See, that's a dream that I have, is that we can all get together. Yeah.
Yeah.
And do
Yeah.
this in person. But we'll still go on Facebook Live.
Get your passport, girl.
That's right. Everybody get your passports. All right. Well, let's everybody just settle in a little bit and close your eyes, and let's take a couple of deep breaths just to quiet ourselves down so that we can hear Seth's words. Take a nice deep breath in and release through your mouth and just let everything go. There is nothing that you have to think about except hearing Seth's words right now on experiencing an idea intuitively. When this focus is finished, when the subject tells himself, now I will come to, now I have solved the problems that I set out to solve, then what happens is the withdrawal of the self from the plane. The construction vanishes and is heir to the materials which compose the particular universe. I will also go into this more deeply. You should be able to see now why a concept such as I refer to is difficult to achieve on your plane. You cannot focus upon it thoroughly. When the fourth inner sense is exercised And I will outline exercises, and all three of you would certainly benefit by following my suggestions. You will discover what an idea really is. You will discover this by experiencing the idea directly, and you can best achieve some approximation of accomplishment by using psychological time. Your idea of experiencing a concept is doubtlessly to follow it through from beginning to end. Sweet Tootsies, there is no beginning or end. And this idea of yours is the result of a complete and utter concentration upon camouflage time. Nor does the evolution of either an idea or a species involve time. It merely involves time in your universe. You insist upon labeling as laws of absolutes what is actually your distorted and limited vision of concepts as they seem to appear to you. Using psychological time, sit in a quiet room, and I hope this is not impossible. When an idea comes to you, and I presume it will, do not play with it intellectually. You can dissect it to your heart's content after the experience. Reach out to the idea intuitively. Do not be afraid or reject unfamiliar bodily sensations. With practice, and to a very limited degree, you will find that you can become the idea. You will be inside the idea, looking out, not looking in. This is thought. If you think, you are in for a surprise. Now let's take a few minutes to experience this while we are together today and safe. And while our eyes are closed after hearing what Seth said, let's just sit and watch for an idea. When one arrives, do not dissect it. Just reach out to the idea intuitively. Do not be afraid or reject unfamiliar bodily sensations. Now let's sit with this for a few moments. And now it is time to come back to your physical body and resume with Seth Talk. When you are ready, take a few deep breaths, wiggle your fingers and toes, open your eyes, and come back to the program. And if you are happy and you want to stay in your place of Psy-time, then you can do that as well. We won't bother you a bit. Just checking in on the Facebook people. Looks like Nikki's still out, and that's okay. Did anyone have any ideas that popped up? Jeff?
I'm very creative, so my thoughts and my ideas, I became friends with a long time ago. And I'm always in my head and my ideas and my thoughts and playing around with that.
Beautiful.
I think one of the things that differentiate us between the animals is our ability to create a concept in our mind and actualize it out into the 3D universe.
Do we know that animals don't do that?
No.
Oh.
Beavers do. Do they imagine their dam before they build it? I don't know.
Hmm.
What do the crows do with all those shiny things that they find?
Yeah. I have a feeling that they do more than we think they do.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And again, they're just made of units of consciousness, just put together different.
One of my favorite exercises when I'm out in nature is to project my consciousness into a tree and try to imagine how the tree sees everything and how the tree feels and what it feels like.
Yeah.
For the leaf, for the flower. I would imagine, Audrey, you might do that also with your photography. You kind of climb into whatever it is that you're looking at and become one with it.
Not that deep, but I'd like to.
It does show up in your photographs.
Hmm.
Very nice.
And I found that a very interesting exercise. Those are some exercises I learned a long time ago that you can do wherever you are.
Mhm.
Just project yourself into something and see if you can look out and observe as it observes, whether it's a leaf on a tree or a bird or it's very
Mhm.
interesting.
I'm definitely going to try though.
All right. Report back. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things Jane did, I believe it was raining, and she projected herself into a pinpoint of light, and it became a constellation and opened up.
Oh,
I don't know
wow.
where in the books that is. If I run across it, I'll
Okay.
bookmark it.
Yeah.
But yeah, try to find a point of light on something that's shiny and
Hmm.
go into that light and see where it takes you.
Wow. Okay.
Hmm.
Good thought. Hmm.
I'm a nature freak anyway. So.
We should
I've
all be.
found
Yes.
them.
I like animals more than some people.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm old now, so I can say that.
Yeah, I've said it a lot.
Eh. Martin, did you have an experience?
I did, and I'm trying to figure out how to describe it.
Okay.
'Cause, yeah,
Oh, Nikki's
was
with
in
you on that one.
yeah, I was in a completely dark space, and I was with somebody, kind of like a narrator. I can't, maybe it was you, but and there was this dark. I want to say like a car, but it wasn't a car. It was solid dark, solid black, and obsidian. And it was like a security device of some sort. And I was the security device.
Oh.
And I was trying to set it off. And he was trying to show me that this narrator was trying to show me how to make it, I guess, the alarm work. I don't know. And like I said, it's very complex. Not describing it very well, probably.
Wow.
I don't know what that means. That
So
was
you,
my idea.
so you
was the
went
idea.
in, that's awesome though. You went into this obsidian, right?
Yeah,
Which is very earth grounding, protecting stone. That was security, which is protecting as well. So the symbology in that is huge.
yeah,
And you became the protection. That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Thank you.
Mm,
Thank you for sharing that.
you're welcome. I'm going to have to really think about that one.
Yeah, I would love to hear more.
Yeah.
Joe on Facebook, she said, "Thanks for the soothing voice, Kate. I heard I'm good. The universe is good. Strangely familiar, and then suddenly, horses. As a horse stands for strong power to me, I thought, hi, strong horses here." That's wonderful. Strength. Yeah. And Gloria gave us a thumbs up. So good. I'm so happy when we can reach the Facebook people as well. And yeah, that makes me feel great. Now, Miss Nikki.
Well, starting out. Good night, baby.
Oh,
Starting out.
night, Jack.
Good
they,
night.
they all say good night, Jack. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
I'm like with Martin. I'm trying to find a way to verbalize what it was, and still is, because it wasn't a dark place. It was a void of some kind. To me, it's what I would call a void. I don't think it really was one, but that's just simply how I perceive the lack of little visual things that a human would look for. I mean, we're always trying to find something to say we saw,
Mm-hmm.
but this was not a visual place as much as it was a sensory place. It was where I was feeling that I was somewhere. But the thing is, I became aware of a very, very, very great presence. And it was both great in its type and its magnitude. And that started to seep in more and more and more. I became more and more aware of it being huge. And what it has done, or it's doing, is as I heard everyone coming back, and as you know, I stayed a while, but it said, okay, we're putting a pin in this. And as soon as the session is over, we'll go back to it.
Oh.
So we're in a holding pattern. I'm still very aware of it. And I came out of it enough that I could actually communicate verbally.
Mm.
But I'm aware that it's there like you go to a commercial break.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's allowed me to come back for however long I need to. And
Mm-hmm.
then I will go back to that because it has not finished manifesting. And
Wow.
it's profound in the way that it hit me. It's very encompassing. It's like a big hug,
Mm.
so to speak. It's not sweet like you'd expect a hug to be,
Mm-hmm.
but it's an awareness of being connected to something that is awe-inspiring. You know, it's not necessarily smile friendly kind of that thing that we as humans think, oh, it was so friendly. No, it's not. It's just very profound. And so I will wait. And then when I go back to it, I'm sure that I will find out more about why that particular thing is in contact. And I'm also aware that we were talking a lot about Ouija boards and contact just before it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I've touched, but I've touched something.
Wow.
You know, I can totally relate to that. This past Wednesday, we did an exercise, Seth exercise, And it was so profound with me that when I was doing it, it's like I put it on hold during the rest of the meeting, and that I could pick it up where I left off anytime I
Exactly.
want. And
Exactly.
I've been chewing on it all week, and I know that I can still pick up on it where it's
Mhm.
always going to be there when, because I like to explore things from this side and that
Yeah.
side and that side, and it's there. Yeah,
Exactly.
it's very profound, as you say.
It is.
It's not something you find in this dimension of
And I don't
solids.
get the feeling, like you're saying, I don't get the feeling that it's going to immediately end even after I
Ah,
go back to it. It's as if I
it's
have learned a portal that I didn't know was there.
Ooh.
it's like a sphere of knowledge that I can revisit anytime I
Yes,
want to.
yes. And it's like, don't touch this lightly because I'm not light. I am what I am, but I am big and profound. Now, if you want to taste that, if you want to touch it and taste it, be respectful enough and you can explore more of what has come to you. But it's available and it's ongoing. And I get the feeling that I'm going to learn how to close it down by simply turning the volume down when I need to explore, to be human and have my
Mhm.
life, but that I can go back to whatever this is. It is a portal.
Just by focusing on it, you'll go
Wow.
back.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Wow.
You're always pulling us into these things, dear.
Oh, it's just, it's just building week after week.
Your
Yeah.
yes, your
Yeah.
side times are very, very life changing.
I am so happy I found them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could swear
And
I just read that part that you did Psy-time over, and I'm thinking, what a good nugget of information for Seth Talk. And you did, but it wasn't the same, but it was so similar.
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Well, I mean, so much of this we touched on throughout the first hour and a half. We talked a lot about camouflage time and the fact that there is no beginning and no end. And you guys, Martin and Nikki, you're touched upon, there was no beginning and there's no end to it. We have to put it on hold so that we can come back and revisit it. And that
Yeah.
is just beautiful. I did not have an experience here. I kept watching the clock. I'm like, I'm a clock watcher today.
Uh,
Did you have anything, Audrey?
No, it's too noisy here.
Noisy? Okay. And it's funny because I could hear Seth's trying to be humorous about us being able to find a quiet space. I hope you can find it. And I tried to use a different voice. That some of it is just, there's even quotes within quotes in this quote. Where Seth was like booming, and I can just feel like this must be what it felt like. His voice just boomed through her, this little girl. But just the fact that the very beginning paragraph, when this focus is finished. Now I look at the focus as this lifetime, right? So change the words. When this lifetime is finished, when I tell myself, now I will come to, now I have solved the problems that I set out to solve. Then what happens is the withdrawal of the self from the plane, which is existence. And the construction vanishes and is heir to the materials which compose the particular universe.
Yes.
Like, to start with that paragraph and not know anything else, like, where is that even going to go? Like, I just
It was
thought that
profound.
oh, yeah. Yeah.
When we stepped into it, as you led us softly into it, it became apparent with each passing second that I had bitten off much more than I knew. It's like, okay, come on in, come here, little girl. Oh yes, now we've got you in here. Let's show you something. It
Yeah.
was very, very inadvertent.
Yes.
It was so much more than I anticipated.
So when I first wrote this one, that happened to me. So as I was sitting here and I read the whole thing and I thought, God, this is huge. And I read it to Oshara, and then I was meditating and I'm like, and then an idea popped in my head and I'm like, okay, let's do what Seth said. And I'm going to follow that idea and go in the idea. And I became the idea looking out from what the idea was. And it's like, this is so much bigger than I, thought about and I could ever have comprehended. But I had to really be in that space of meditation. And for me, clock watching isn't doing it.
Yeah.
Whereas last week I wasn't a clock watcher. I don't know, sometimes I have to have more focus in this reality, than, the exercises. But I'm so
But
happy
we did
that,
it later in the session than we
well,
normally do. So you were probably much more aware of time because it was less of it
maybe,
to
but
start with.
I also think that we did it this late because you can jump right back into it.
Yes,
If we
yes,
did it
I
in the
can.
beginning, yeah. But I love what
It
Jeff is
it
saying, that for
literally
all
hovers
week.
around me.
Oh,
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah,
Right. Jeff
it's
has
there.
experienced this all week. So we know that it's something that we can go back to when we're having ideas
It
or when,
continues to change.
yeah.
hmm Well, when it first manifest, I became aware that I was surrounded by a very soft cloud. And I kept wondering if I was simply copying what I'd heard from you about your cloud, your
Oh, mm-hmm,
personality.
mm-hmm,
But it was not red, it was not white. It was just barely a soft grayness because it
mm-hmm.
was simply so that I could be aware that there was something, a
Yes.
viscosity to the
Mm-hmm.
atmosphere. But it started to manifest as, look, get used to the fact that this is rolling in quite literally, and
Wow.
it became more and more expansive,
Mm-hmm.
inclusive. I was in the center of something that was bigger than anything I've ever known before.
Hmm. Wow.
Mhm.
And maybe
And I mean,
this,
I've been in
yeah.
contact with my higher self before,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm aware of what that felt like. And it was big and above me, the way a Seth 2 would be above
Mm-hmm.
Jane or Seth. No, this was much, 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 much bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And it's as if the whole room now is just filled with it.
Wow. Wow. All right. So everybody on Facebook and YouTube, stay tuned.
And before we go, I also, if you don't mind, I do want to mention how profoundly I was touched by experiencing your Reiki powers.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, because we have not had a chance to talk about it
Mm-mm.
yet after it, but I am quite moved because I have experienced Reiki before. Only twice was it effective enough for me to be aware of it, but it was not something I could ever go into. I was just not drawn to it. It just didn't hit me. But
Was it in
your
person before?
ability, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it
There's
was.
something
But
about
I was
distance
not
work.
moved.
Mm-hmm.
But your grasp of manipulating energy is a real gift. It's a gift. I bow to that and salute you because
Oh,
I know what you did. And I got a lot of reinforcement about the fact that something was passed, something helped me to manipulate my energy.
thank you.
Okay. And that is just, I mean, I got visual feedback, I got emotional feedback,
Hmm.
I got reality feedback, and
Wow. All
I'm
right.
just quite profoundly moved. I was so moved that when I spoke to a friend of mine about it, she's very anxious to look into speaking with you about it too.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
But
thank you.
the touch that you have is really significant.
Hmm. Thank you.
It is.
Thank you.
I
Well,
thank you from the bottom of my heart.
oh,
And Jack does.
I'm so happy to have been able to help you. I am.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you know, my teacher, and she's been on here before, not her face, but Judy Seal Snyder. She gets on Facebook. But I remember when I was just new, and I used to work with hospice, so I donated time and I would see patients, and I remember having these thoughts of, you know, do this, do that, and I'm like, Judy, why am I having these crazy thoughts? And I'm like, that's not the order I'm supposed to do things in. And I'm like, it's a long time before I needed to get to the knee or the whatever it was. And she's like, Kate, stop. She said these words to me, and I'm going to read this right from Seth's words. You can dissect it to your heart's content after the experience. She said those words to me. She says, you can dissect it, you can question it, you can do whatever you want after the session. But she says, just go with the guidance, because if you
Yeah.
go with the guidance, they're going to stop giving it to you. They're
Yeah.
going to stop. So listen, and that was a pivotal change in the way I did Reiki. I was more of a mechanical as opposed to intuitive.
Intuitive.
Yes, and my teacher is extremely intuitive, and you know, she helped me tune in with that part of me where I can connect to those energies. So, you know, and when I read those words, I'm like, oh my God, she spoke those words to me like almost word for word. And Judy was not a student of Seth. You know, as a matter of fact, I introduced her to the Seth material. So these words came from her, which I'm sure came from a higher source than her. And yeah, it's just amazing. And
well, I have
I
a
do live
new
that way
profound respect for Reiki
now.
that I didn't have I've tried for over 30 years to even be open to taking it very seriously, because it was just not touching me.
Well, some people just like the hands-on, and I do hands-on Reiki when I have you right in the room with me. Some people just like that personal interaction. To me, though, when you are dealing directly with someone's source of their energy, and you don't have to go through their physical anatomy, that it's just immediately goes to where it needs to go. It is profound. It is an amazing work.
It is.
And even when I have someone in the room with me on the table, quite often I will keep one hand on them, and the other hand I will be doing all the energy work in their field. So that so the hand is there for their comfort, but the work is being done in their field, and they're taking that in. So it's a very different way of working. I had an amazing teacher, but then everything I've learned has just enhanced all that. Yeah. And not to mention confidence. You know, I've been doing this for a lot of years.
Yeah. But it's very beautiful. I mean, what you have is very admirable.
Thank you.
I have the greatest respect for your gift.
It's a lot of love. Yeah.
It is.
It on it truly.
It comes through.
It's a lot of love. You know, I tell people that are skeptical, I'm like, worst case scenario, you're getting a lot of love given at you for, you know, whatever time there is. So, you know, there can be no wrong there. Yeah. So anyway, that's beautiful. Thank you, Mickey. And I'm so glad it made a difference. That means everything to me.
Yes, it's made a very profound difference.
Beautiful.
And I'm still watching to see just how profound it really is as it unfolds. You know.
Well, do keep me in mind. Think
will.
about it. But anyway, yeah, I love doing the work, and it is heart work. Totally. If you come from that space, and people can feel it. They can feel it if you don't come from that space.
You can feel it.
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons about the tissue capsule. And I'm like, So I'm sending my energy through the ethers to your tissue capsule.
Mhm.
Can it blend? Can it penetrate? Can it? But you were open to it. So, and,
Mhm.
we had that agreement before we started. And I was so grateful that Jack accepted it, because I did that at a soul level, because he did
Right.
not give his personal permission.
Right.
But his
Exactly.
soul, I could feel that his soul accepted it.
Yeah.
So very beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you.
Oh, well,
Profoundly.
everyone, I think it's time, here we are, 2:59. Woohoo, it's almost 3:00. And I have to say that I said it in the beginning, I want to say it again. I do have, as far as the Seth House goes and donations, people have donated. People are just, oh God, I just love you guys so much that we can keep this place open, and that we have, hopes of getting the entire house. But right now we have the most important part of the house, and I keep that
Yeah.
in mind every single day.
Yeah.
And it's thanks to all of you that are out there that donate. Or, Shar and I couldn't do it by
It was so
ourselves.
great that they were matching the funds. That just, that's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Well, right after, midday, I guess they sent me more parameters. So they matched up to the first $2 million dollar for dollar. And then after that, for the next 5 million, they did 10%. And they're
Mhm.
not going to let us know until January or February. So
Ah.
we just don't know yet if we
Mhm.
even made any of them matches. But
Mhm.
I am so grateful for everything that came in, and it's just it makes
That was
my
lovely.
heart swell that so many people care. And there were 2 brand new Seth donors. Every other one was repeat. So we have the most wonderful family of caring, loving people that are involved in the Seth House. And I just feel with everything in me that all our hopes and dreams are going to manifest. And it's just a matter of taking time and just letting, like, we've put this out, and each donor has helped, and people that can't donate are sending love. All of those culminate to creating this reality that is going
Mhm.
to manifest. We don't have to say the exacts as to how it's going to happen. If we leave that up to the bigger guys, that's all just going to work out.
It is. Yeah.
It
I
is.
feel that too.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
I'm
So,
relaxed now about it. I
yeah,
just know.
yeah. I mean, the
Yeah, it's a
biggest thing
knowing.
right now is we have that apartment. It is safe, and we can have people there as soon as everybody says it's safe, to be together again. But it feels so good and so right. And I used to worry about it, and there is no worry anymore. It just feels it's happening.
It feels like the second manifestation of whatever energy Seth released in the first place. Whatever
Yeah.
his intent was to come and to start
Yeah.
showing us something. Um, with Jane's passing and
Yeah.
then with Rob's passing,
Mm-hmm.
that phase of it was over.
Yeah.
But it's now building back up again.
Mm-hmm.
And there are so many more people aware of it now. And this is
Mm-hmm.
a next wave
Yes. And you
of
think
the effect.
about Seth himself has got, so one of the things that my Iris said to me was, Seth has learned from every session, from every class, from every
Wow.
student, from every reader, how to reach
Ooh.
them. And yes, I get chills when I think about it. And this
Ooh.
is what she said to me. And there's just going to be a way that that these teachings get out to people.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
just, I am so blessed that I'm a part of things.
That's what I think
and
too.
and I'm so
I'm
blessed that
shocked.
all of you are a part of it with me, and I can't say that enough. And that's to every donor, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
care if you've donated love, or if you've donated money, or if you've donated your labor in scraping paint, because we've had or donating artifacts. I mean, there is no limit to the love I have for every person that has reached out to the Seth House in any way, shape, or form. Yeah.
I agree.
And so many of these people I've never seen. I don't know what a face looks like, but I know most of their emails.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. And
Well, it's like I said, I hope
they're
someday that I
family.
will actually meet Joe. You know,
Yeah.
that's just beginning to be part of my awareness that, you know, maybe off in the future some point
Yeah.
it
And
may manifest.
yeah, and I think we're all going to get together someday.
We'll
If it's
see.
not here, it's going to be
It'll
there.
be here.
Yeah.
I think
So
we've already known each other.
I
agree.
think you're 100% right, Jeff.
I was thinking that for
yep.
several weeks, that
Mhm.
not only known each other, but we very well might be counterparts.
Yeah.
I said, hey, Mickey, you know, down the road, let's meet up on Facebook. I think maybe we can talk Kate into
Yes,
doing a Seth
exactly.
Talk.
Exactly.
And here we are. Here we are.
Practical Seth.
Yes, I love it. All right, so we're gonna say goodbye. I love you all. The Seth House loves you all. I can't send enough love out there. I hope you all feel it.
We love you too.
All right,
And
bye-bye.
all of you
Bye.
people on Facebook.
See you next week. Love you guys on Facebook. Bye. And
Bye-bye.
YouTube. Bye-bye.
And you too. Yes.